we're most interested in the substation stuff. The Georgetown Energy Using Board of Directors.
Yeah.
We've been doing this since 1992, and excellent, we even talked to them. I mean, how insane is that? They're not at this point, they're saying because they've all worked with millions, not just hundreds of thousands. And that's not what they're concerned with. Fundamentally, the origin must have been so
I get
I
it.
think to me, that sort of is goal number one. I
Tired
don't
today.
agree with you. So
Just got back from Texas this
I
morning.
want to see. I want to see. Yeah, before consensus is what I'm looking.
So then we should some breaks to see my parents and then see some caverns and ran around stuff there. The fun stuff. Well, they didn't want to see this whole spring break.
We could get to get up on energy museum. Well, then we're gonna figure out somebody who will see it. But one of their concerns is the energy museum board's concern is they were not informed about the concern. So Excel could sell that building and just announce they sold it. I mean, they want some.
That, I think all that needs to go,
Yeah, that's.
it needs to get into the memorandum of understanding.
That's right. It does need to get into the memorandum. But I'm just saying their focus is trying to keep rather than stop commodity. Their focus is on the museum itself and that's this ideas for how that museum could be developed. At this point, that board is tunnel vision. Yes, yeah, just tunnel vision there, so don't do that to the. Yes, don't talk about the process, then we won't know this, that you won't. So I think that your goal one to be.
He's been.
I think that it should be the whole thing. What's going to
Right now is much better Thursday.
Hey, Sean, you can sit up here.
disconnected the front stop
Be here, so you can see.
because it. Emergency, that's gone. Do what you need to do, that's fine. Where do we go? from there?
Yes.
The whole thing. The whole thing.
That's.
I think you said that very, very well.
We don't need to do what I think about all aspects to pay for what we want to send a claim.
I mean, what you get is. You can't do anything unless people agree.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
It's your hands.
Yeah.
I have I'm Gary, myself. You really don't. He's a surveyor. He stands up there and he looks at where they put the pen stock and he says, it's something. It's not there.
They thought we would get to it. Find out.
No, it doesn't.
Well, we can see, you know, we lights out the percentages. But you know, it's something that we want to be circumcised, citizens, and it's not to be surprised.
That's
I want to know that.
It's really, yeah. I remember one of the things, like, like, and I'm thinking outside of
It's just not what we're gonna roll over.
Are we ready? I'm not.
Martin, Washington.
Because my.
Sean Black.
Here.
Sydney Neely.
Here.
Betsy Blakely. Here. Mike Reynolds. Bob Hamilton.
Here.
Rick Dancer.
Okay, can we have approval of the agenda, please? We have
What
something.
is our latest? Our Christmas, right?
So I added on the discussion about this.
Okay, and do we have something about Circle K on this?
Well,
Or not?
No.
actually, it's not an official thing. They did send us some pictures that we asked them to. And so we're not approving anything. We just,
No, but are we discussing those pictures?
Is it Circle K?
no, this is.
It's not Circle K, it's the other one, not for the county. It was a fence picture of what they wanted to put there.
What,
Oh,
who
this
wanted to
one?
put up the county or?
Oh,
Circle K?
well, that's a fence picture we sent them, right?
Yeah, that's Circle K sending it.
This one says Quaker K.
No, it's not Circle K.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's it's the one,
Insurance point.
Oh, it's the one that,
So we asked them to put up the fence, you know.
Oh, okay, so this is charge
and
point.
it's, and let us know what the new things are gonna look like.
Right? Charge point, it is or isn't on the agenda?
It is on the agenda.
It is on the agenda.
Okay, so I have an old agenda.
Yeah, well, so do I. That's what I'm doing.
Well, okay, so.
And then we should have a report on where the initiative stands with the Board of,
Should we also add just the upcoming ordinance 5?
yeah, that's what
Okay,
I meant.
okay, I didn't
You
get
know,
it.
where we stand with,
And our letter that we had for access.
Chair. That's this. I'm too sure.
Somebody. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda then?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the change or additions.
I'm second that.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Okay, is there anyone here for audience business? No. Okay, so. Caroline and Gary Basalt, we're going to go ahead and do you guys first. Okay, so do you want to come up and you can listen on the front row? Sure.
And
From this one too? From this one too?
Yes.
Oh. Good. Okay.
So Mr. Shadow recused himself. No.
Sure. You want, oh, sure, we got to sit in a chair, that's fine, or since there's not a seat here. Okay, so your name and address of the property and what we're gonna do.
806 Biddle Street. Trying to add on 6 feet to the back of the house. Our house backs overlooks the stone wall that goes all the way downtown. And ever since I first saw the house, it's like, we need windows back here. So there's just a couple little windows. We need a little more space and upgrade. And work and windows across the back of the property. So basically kitchen and mudroom. Our stairway going upstairs right now curves and is. It's got a few people fall, so I want to straighten out the stairway and the landing, just to make it safer. Okay. That's part of the reason for the addition to the extra space to be able to extend the stairway.
Okay, and those are sliding glass doors on the back.
Yes.
This addition cannot be seen by anybody, anywhere.
No,
Even the people who are walking up above on that trail cannot see it down.
You can see it, it's in there.
Face.
this.
There are
Cindy.
large cats, however,
Mhm.
that might object to the porch being rearranged. They like it the way it is. They have the most best films, these cats, and going across their back porch.
And bear too. Well, I don't see them at the meeting. I don't see those guys.
No, I know, you don't want to see them. Yes, but those cats, that was a really impressive piece of film. Mama and two young male mountain lions on the back porch.
Oh, I saw it, I think.
And then one of the babies came pretty later in the fall.
So, yeah.
But only saw them a few times.
So have you left them a porch?
There will be, yeah.
Okay.
We'll send it out all across the back there.
All right. Is there anything we need to know about? All materials will match the existing house, the roof shingles, the siding. The window dimensions are less than that's obviously on the front, but it's obviously back. And the deck to new deck,
Yes,
what is the deck? What material is the deck?
Call that composite decking, just from a practicality standpoint.
Trex, something like that,
Exactly.
that's what we have now.
and it doesn't have any rail
No,
because it's ground level, basically.
Right.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Pick something or there's nothing. For two, it should be noted this is not a contributing structure. And we are on chapter 9, page 85.
Page 87, which is chapter, section 2, new edition.
Yes.
Uh, 2A. Design and addition such that not obscure or destroy the character of the original building, and it doesn't, it fits in very nicely.
I'll add too real quick that we're looking to replace the front door as well, so we did a quick elevation of the front door, check the window schedule on the 82.1 sheet, the 4.1 sheet.
Okay, let's go through the addition and we'll come back to the door, okay? So we're still on page 87.
Yeah.
In addition to A, you have B, in addition should be visually subordinate to the main building. And B1 has to do with respecting proportions and massing. B2, the form and detailing compatible with the building.
B3 should be at the back,
Yes,
which it is.
which it is. The page 88. Same section, D. Material of addition should be similar to that of the primary structure. And D2, match the lap dimension, finish, and size of the existing materials. And use of the existing materials should extend to such things as the roof and the window framing, say,
Match.
match,
Yeah.
yeah, all of those details should match. Okay, now the front door. What does the current front door look like?
It's got an oval, stained glass. That the last owners left. But, it leaks around it. Leaks air, leaks. It's.
Right here.
Oh,
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, and it leaks at the bottom, I mean, it's just not very. It leaks a lot of air, cold air.
this actually is a much more traditional panel door,
Yeah,
and it's wood.
yes.
Well, windows and doors are on page 868. Section 6 of chapter 7. Or at 69 C. Maintain original window and door proportions, where you maintain the door proportions.
Do you have any roof vents for like plumbing or anything that make sure they get painted to?
Yeah, there probably will be actually a couple on that lower, on the new roof. Again, they're on the backside of the house there. I need to get those ones on here, but yeah, we have. Well, the bathroom at least, and then they'll be able to tie that into the. Kitchen and bench or not, but. They're just gonna be you know, a foot or so above the roof, just a PVC. Just a PVC height. And then we can paint.
Just make sure that the flashing and the better
Yeah,
painted, the usual,
yeah,
and the downspouts would be the same, and gutter would be the same, painted to match the trim.
yep.
Okay, yeah, there's, it says it there, so.
So, is there a new bathroom going in on the main floor, or is that?
Not bad, yes.
And where's the exhaust for that bathroom?
Yeah, that's gonna be. It'll be just on the roof, like we'll sketch it in real quick, as Bob mentioned, it's probably a small little. You know, popping up through the roof, just a couple of inches.
Well, whatever height it is, it needs to be matte finish in a dark color.
Yep.
And that is actually, Susan, that's a citing from section 9 on page 74. I'm still on the 2, of course, and it's D. You stovepipe on any building. Or any pipe on any building should have a matte, not like non-metallic dark finish. Whether it's brown or black, that's up to you, but just not.
Yeah, black is pretty, usually as good as anything, but yeah, if there's a machine under. Slightly different, try to get a manage the shingles if it's.
Black sort of disappears no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
I think anything. Your motion?
Yeah, I move that we approve the application for the addition at 806 Middle Street. With the citing note.
I would second that.
Okay, more discussion. All in favor? Aye, against?
Brings up the issue of whether the sighting should be on the certificate.
For the siding?
The sightings should be on the. certificate.
Oh, I did not see Jim last time after the meeting, so we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Okay,
And
Yeah,
like I was just looking at the minutes.
because that might clarify a whole bunch of things.
Yeah,
And we've got the sightings,
Yeah.
so that might be easy. Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Okay, what else is Sean doing?
No.
Jay Pittman.
Okay, so,
Okay.
Jay Pittman and Sean was recused for this as well.
Said Jay Pittman, 1501 Buckeye Circle.
That's, as you turn onto Buckeye, it's directly on the left.
The Mansard.
It's the mansard, yes. You know, I'm also reminded that one picture would be worth 1,000. I mean, it'd be wonderful to have a picture of a location, and so maybe we can mention that in the discussion of accepting applications.
Okay, yeah, pictures are good. Because people do. Missing pictures.
Yeah,
It's hard to find yourself.
yes,
This is what you see on 15th Street.
yes, I kept.
Yeah, I know what
It is, but if you have
Yeah.
a picture of it, you
Yeah.
then. So I think if we could ask that people who are,
Well, we're asking for photos.
yeah, we're asking for photos, yes. We're asked for a photo.
Is that put anywhere in the application as a line item for environment?
Well, there was, the application used to have a back. And it had a material, it had a list of stuff that you were supposed to
Well,
put with your application.
It's still the thing, if you print out the application, it comes in 2 sheets now. instead of
Yeah.
Back.
Jim just doesn't usually put that.
And so I think,
Say provide photos.
It does not. I remember.
but the list suggests photos, yes, I think, but I think that list would be really handy for people to have before they submit.
So I did go through that list when I submitted. But I don't remember some of the photos.
So do we give this information to Jen? But
Yeah,
I'll mention it to him. Okay.
And he's looking to put a one-story addition on the back of the house.
But this is a highly visible back of the house because he's right on the corner.
Correct. And you can see it from the circle.
This is Jacob.
Yes.
No pictures for that.
North elevation, that's the one saved, and the rest of the folks on Buckeye. The west elevation is what you see coming across the.
Correct. So that's what you'll see as we come in from Cooper's. It's a fairly flat roof. That's an existing. What? That's an existing, there's an existing roof there, and we're matching it with the addition.
Because the existing one, it does have a long, is that it's
That's the peak.
peak and it has this long piece.
It does.
Basically, you're just stretching out the existing back.
I'm sorry?
You're just stretching out the existing back.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just coming straight out.
So Sean, are you the contractor or are you?
Yes.
Or 17.
Okay, Meadows residential, huh? No, Meadows new additions. There is classically 2 paragraphs about new additions in the Meadows. Are there any protrusions? Do we have any stovepipes? Do we have any of those kinds of
There
things?
will probably be a plumbing vent.
A vent, plumbing
For the
vent?
bathroom.
Okay.
And maybe a vent for an exhaust fan, but that's. No,
All right, page 101 in book 3. Additions. An addition should be visually subordinate to the main. Section 2A. Addition should be visually subordinate to the main building, and it is. A1 with an interesting pro portion. What is the siding on this building?
T111. Where that was actually existing.
So what are you putting on as siding?
T111.
You're putting T1.
8-inch between the roofs.
So this does match what's there.
That is what's there.
Yeah, that's really. Drawings about nothing.
Right. And it's gonna have 4-inch trim around the windows. And the corner of the trim would be 4-inch. There's no spacious. There's about a 6-inch soffit.
Well, I think that. Actually, extending this house a little bit may help it. Architecturally. You know, I think it's some architectural interest. It's a box.
It is. That's where the old house stops in the addition.
Yes, but it's still.
And
gives-
also we're changing these 3 windows. On the south elevation,
The middle ones.
on the existing structure portion, there's 3 double hung windows. Those will be new.
Those three windows we see on the.
Are these replaced, carpet outside and everything? Or are they the size being changed?
The sizing is being changed. Right now, the existing are, what I remember, like 30 by 60 or 36 by 80. Just glass panels, big glass panels. So we're gonna take 3 of those out and put 3 double hungs in their place.
Are these where it says existing on the ones to the right of those? Are those like
Those are,
existing glass panels?
yes,
Okay.
those are windows now.
Yeah.
And they're just fixed panels.
That these will be double hungs, that somebody might be able to get some ventilation from.
Yes. There is another new window in the breezeway, but you don't get to see that from anywhere. You look at the site plan where it says porch. It's gonna be a new window in that area.
Right. Oh, yeah, you would not, but.
You can't see it from anywhere,
Right.
but that'll be a double hung also. The porches in the deck will be composite deck,
And no rails?
no rails.
Okay, we did page 101A, is that correct, Susan? Well, we have. What do we do, A1?
A and A1.
All right, A2. And B? And again, the citing about. Okay. Comes out in utilities or some way, I think, doesn't it? Page 86 under utilities. A6. Section 7, A6. Non-reflective finishes.
Yes,
Think so.
Ready for a motion?
yes,
I move that we approve the addition at 1501 Buckeye Circle with the stipulations noted.
do we have stipulations?
Hmm.
Sightings,
Citing, yeah.
there's no stipulation.
The site of this, I meant.
Okay, sorry. Well, I was thinking, did I miss something? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Yes.
And I'll bring you
Recuse. Okay. What do charge point, the pictures that we've got here.
What is the front picture supposed to illustrate to us?
I think that
What
was,
the charges are gonna look like.
are they gonna be? No.
No, it's just, all they had was like a black and white cut of Charger last time. And we said we wanted to see what it would actually look like.
Yeah, they don't get to have orange ballots. Ballots, not ballots,
Well, the
ballots.
bollards are already there.
Yes, okay, so I'm not worried about, right,
It's
orange
just a
ballots.
picture of them.
And they're gonna take that kind of fence that is down by the gas thing.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, that is the one, the fence is down by $100 right now, so.
You can't extend that fence in front of the transformer or the power link.
I don't see why not, but
That's what I,
is this officially on our agenda?
No.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a new one.
it's on mine, it's not.
Okay, but that wasn't.
Could add.
Posted thing that we put out.
It was on the stuff that they
It's got all the,
I think that just got added like a couple days ago, didn't it? Thank you. So,
Well, they're showing new ballards there too, so, or ballards, difficult spots. I think Sean's question, why can't the fence extend in front of it?
well, that was what we wanted to do, right?
Transformer.
I don't understand why they can't go across the front and then just a slight return, just so you're not seeing it from the side also.
Right, is that sidewalks is gonna be very different.
Yeah, I didn't understand it when I saw that. They're just doing a lot, shade area, it's like,
Yeah.
extended.
Extended,
Did they say how tall the fence is?
extended on both ends. Yeah, I think we should.
is the The power link, is that the charger that we're looking at? Yeah, I'm thinking that might be the charger
You mean one of
The
these?
first one,
on the sketch, yeah, it says power link.
You mean, you think it's one of these?
I think that's what they're showing there, because it looks like it's got a couple of bollards in front of it.
Yeah. That would make sense.
Correct, Pete? I don't know,
I think that's
do you
a,
have a picture of what's down there?
not to scale at all, it is.
Powerlink, you're right, Powerlink may be a new one, we do something.
This is the transformer.
No,
No.
this is not that at all. This is just,
To show you the
this
fence.
shows the fence. This is the fence that we have down by the gas.
Oh, I see.
So they just showed you what they would put in for a fence. Yeah.
Okay.
And they may not put it in front of the transformer because it may. I don't know if Excel has clearance requirements. They probably do.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure they had access.
Well, they're adding the third one, because you can see the concrete pad for the third one they're adding, so there's already a concrete pad for the, in page, hit page up or page down to go. see it, right?
So is that power link something new or
I think the power link is the charger.
is the
Yeah.
charger itself? So they're just showing a typical. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Because this is the service.
It's
No,
got
that's
bollards in front of it, so that would make sense.
And transformers next to it
And the new power block will be right back
on
there.
on the pad that's back there.
And then the transformer's right there.
Yeah.
And we're saying that maybe Excel won't let them put that transformer behind the fence.
It's not closed in, I mean, it's not, it's just a.
It's like a
visual.
window, I think, maybe. Well, it's not downtown, it's not Excel.
That's right.
Do they ever go back a truck up to that? No, they have to get to it.
They have to get to it, so it's-
Walk through the fence, you know. So we're saying they could extend that fence in front of the transformer and make a little corner right there.
It may have to come out further is what I'm thinking, is it may be 3.5 feet minimum. Between the, I can't read that, is that?
It says 3 foot minimum.
3
in front of
foot? Okay, so they
switch
should be
gear.
all right.
Yeah,
We could tell them to extend the fence down.
yeah.
I think the
And
pit
I
should
think the
return-
fence type is fine, but
I think the pit should return on the
Here you
south
go.
side.
Yeah, I think if they can reach, do returns,
Is the fence taller now?
Well, I think they're going off our drawing or our picture, which doesn't specify.
It doesn't
how
say
tall
it's taller.
except We,
It's the silver box or whatever the new box is still invisible.
oh, yeah,
Potentially, depending on how it
oh, that one right there, yeah, that's 6 feet in.
appears to be.
Mhm.
I think that's a 6 foot, 6 foot high fence. Maybe.
I don't think it's quite that high. It is, no, it's more than 4, I think it might be 5.
Maybe 5.
It's gotta be at least 5.
I think it's 5.
I don't think it's 6 though.
I can measure it.
I didn't either, but yeah, it just doesn't.
So I would make a motion that we ask them to extend the fence and we check on the height of the fence and we table this to the next meeting. Okay,
I'll second that.
they're not in no rush, let me tell you.
On favor?
Aye.
I,
Against? Okay.
Also doesn't look like these have bright lights on the
Yeah.
the charging stations.
yeah. It does,
Unlike it appears that it does not,
it does or it doesn't,
does not,
it does not.
It's gotta be better than fluorescent green.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a blurry picture.
Yeah, because we don't know what's up there.
Did they say where this example is from?
That would help.
It's a couple of here.
Well, that's it.
Then we could also ask for some thoughts of lighting.
Somebody, I think Springs are going to be published, but.
Colors of the image. Darker colors.
No, we said they could be done when it's raining or white.
Oh,
They just can't have yellow walls.
Kind of Colorado standard. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are three things we're asking for. What are they?
Extend the fence.
Cover the transformer, what's the height of the fence and what's the lighting?
Okay, all right, that sounds good.
The lighting on the charger.
Yeah, on the track.
All right, we ready to move on? Yep, ordinance 5.
Can we do the extra letter?
Next, the textile.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay. Just a little bit of detail.
I did the draft of the Excel letter, Excel in their memorandum of their draft of the memorandum of agreement. Listed, the town of Georgetown and the town of Georgetown Design Review Commission. I would think that we can make one voice out of that. I mean, I don't think that there needs to be two separate, and so that's why I listed this as the town of Georgetown represented by the town Design Review Commission. This letter would have to then also be acknowledged and essentially approved by the Board of Selectmen. I would think, I don't know what Rick thinks about that one, but I would think that the Board of Selectmen has to know what we have said. The initial thing I brought up there is a technical issue for section 106 nerds. And
Gosh, who are those people?
I don't know. I mean, you know, yes, well, most of you are not,
Okay.
but it just irritates the daylights out of me that what they tried to do here.
Yeah.
The Georgetown Hydroelectric District is the whole thing, from the forebay, the penstock, the substation. And in that district, because it's a district, they do in all districts say what elements contribute to the district. So they write a separate form for each element.
And the substation is the museum.
Yes, the substation is the museum. What Excel's busy saying is this only affects one little element, and that's the forebay. When actually, it certainly affects the second element, which is the penstock itself. And it affects the third element because it takes makes an active museum inactive. You know, I mean, it just, they're trying to minimize the whole thing. So the section 106 nerdness in me just came popping out and said, no, really, I don't think you should get to play that way. And their memorandum never ever mentioned that they were part of a landmark district. I mean, that is the second point to me. You just don't get to do that. And then as far as what the mitigations need to be, I think that the biggest one is that we're requesting that that Excel sit down and tell us what the real plan is. Because they're busy saying, well, we could do this, or we can do that, or maybe we'll sell this substation, maybe we'll give it away. Maybe we'll do this, maybe.
Say that?
Yes, they have actually said that.
They have, in all of my meetings, they've said that.
And so they're saying, but we don't worry about, this is only the penstock, and we'll talk about those things 2 or 3 years down the road. Well, what they did is they did the penstock without ever even telling the board that runs the museum that they were doing it. And so we have no reason to trust 2 or 3, and that's what I hope FERC and the state will listen to. So this really says, no, mitigation for this thing means sitting down and talking about what the whole plan is. Because for us to not know and just wake up one morning and to find out the next piece has disappeared is not cool. Then the Historic District Public Lands Commission also has the concern with the trail. And so given they would be a signature here, the trail got put in as far as, because the trail is a historic mining road and it is used as a historic interpretive site. I don't know if any of you've ever checked out those QR codes.
I tried it once, I never did get connected to it.
Okay, because
You
you,
can download it.
some, yeah, sometimes you can get, did you get connected to
I
it?
didn't try to get connected, I downloaded it online.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's, you know, you can do that too, but it's sort of fun because it gets you into wagon roads and the whole history thing. And Greg Jarvis just recently, like tonight, added a little language to that paragraph about the trail. And, you know, so we may expand that a little bit. And then Historic Georgetown, Gary Faselt, who represents Historic Georgetown on HGPLC and is their open lands direct person, said, you know, hey, wait a minute. We all have property up there. Could we please have a decent survey that shows us where the property lines are? And so that got put in here. What they're offering in their version of this is that their archaeological firm will do what's called a level 2 report on the penstock. And, you know, they've taken a lot of wonderful pictures about disconnecting it and all of the rest, and these would be archival quality report that they could give to the town and to the yeah, exactly, you know, and that's why I ended it the way I did, you know. This NHL is established to convey the recognition of our past to the public, not to the archival shelves. That's, you know, this is that. So if any of you have any comments, I imagine this is going to get massaged slightly before it is turned out. And I hope that we can Tuesday night sort of, if Rick feels we need to run it by the Board of Selectmen, that we can do that. Because their initial date for comments was March 30th, but it turns out that next week that they're going to extend that. And it turns out next week we're going to have some form of conversation, which FERC and the State Historic Fund may, not fund, State Historic Suppose Office may be present at. That FERC is the only strength at the table that can tell Excel, sorry, you have to do X.
Right.
The State Historic Preservation Office will say, well, maybe we ought to take the little mitigation now and look for some more mitigation as other things unfold. They won't be as strong, but FERC can look at them and say,
What's this perk?
all capitals FERC, it is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And they're the ones who grant Excel the permit to operate. So ultimately what they say goes. And so I don't know how far we will get with this, but I think we should try.
So, when they keep talking about the substation, they don't talk about that as the museum as well.
The substation is where all the wires come in. It's the thing on this, in the power plant or the museum is really the power plant. That's where the turbines are.
I understand, but when they say substation, they're talking about.
The whole thing?
The whole complex. Yes, they're talking about that building as a part of the substation. I understand what your question is, and I understand what yours is. And no, they like to refer it at this point as the substation.
Right.
The interesting part of
The
this.
museum is like a-
Yes. The interesting part of this is it was the employees and Public Service Company of Colorado that founded the Georgetown Energy Museum Foundation, which is its own 501c3 and has been operating this place for 30 years. It was 1992 when they did this. So they have been operating this as a energy museum. And Betsy did this part. Check out energy museums in, just ask Google where there are energy museums in the United States.
Yeah, there's about 5 in Georgetown. The only one in the West. Western United States, Georgetown Energy Museum, that's the picture that comes up on Google. So what I sense is happening for various reasons is that the current board,
Which board? Energy Museum Board?
the Energy Museum Board, is made up primarily of former employees of the energy company. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the disconnect, as I see it, is that we have this unbelievably located museum that sits right in the middle of the mountains, all of the, I don't know all terms yet, but I'm gonna know all the terms. And it's been not a real big focus of the museum to do sort of museum-like things. So I'm a perfect example of a person who has a total living in Georgetown, about 15 years or owning, 30 years owning property here. And I would have my husband and a bunch of other people that were visiting say, isn't the museum great, the Public Energy Museum great? And I would say, I've just never been in there. I never really walked in there, and honestly, I never really walked in there until I asked Nick Ulmer, who is married to Wendy.
Well, he's also the treasurer of the Energy Museum.
Correct. And Nick took me on a 2-hour tour of the Energy Museum, at which point I discovered that apparently, and I don't have all these terms right yet, but I will, that we had up until 6 months ago, a functioning sort of turbine or whatever.
Water wheels.
Yeah, which is the thing that of course was always terribly impressive, according to all the people that visited me and went and saw them. And so I've been doing a lot of research on the history of energy in the West. And what we have here is a tremendous opportunity to tell the story of the evolution of hydropower and energy evolution in the West. And it's quite an extraordinary story. We also have several other pieces in the state of Colorado. We have a piece in Colorado Springs where Tesla was for 9 months. We have something up in Boulder. I don't remember all these technical terms, but I will. A station. In other words, we have actually a trail in Colorado, pieces of this whole evolution, which this becomes the center of. So when I went into the museum, Has everybody been in there?
Yeah.
Except Betsy. Okay, so you walk in, you have sort of a congested sort of entryway. Off to the left, apparently you saw some fabulous thing rotating or doing whatever it was doing, which is empty. And I understand the equipment was sent to somebody else. So the equipment that was there generating, doing whatever it was doing.
The wheels are still there, I think.
I don't know about that.
When I was in there, there was two.
Yeah, that was two. I saw two first got here. So you were saying to remove those turbines now?
I'm not smart enough yet, but I'm gonna get a lot smarter about it. But according to what I was told 6 months ago, one of the major pieces of equipment was given
Oh, the
away.
pump.
Yeah, was given away to somebody else. So the museum is essentially sort of slowly dissolving, would be what I would say. Now, I walked out the back door. And you walk out, and what are you hit with? Walk out the back door, you're standing at the top of the stairs or whatever. You have these massive, what are they, electrical, huge charging something. Sorry, I don't know the terms yet, but I'm smart every term. Yeah, in other words, what are they, like 65 feet high up into the sky? They're absolutely unbelievable. And then you have the mountains, you have the water rushing by in the creek or stream or whatever. I mean, you have all of this consolidated in this place that is got all the pieces that generates power historically in the West. And you have what right now, it's a beautiful space for about 15 signs that you would sit out in that patio and be able to start and learn the history of hydropower in the West with 15 really great signs. Which I have designed and done a lot of for Westby for the fortifications. So for not a whole lot of money, I think about, I don't know, $20,000 or $25,000, you could have the signs, the benches, and you would, for people like me who are like looking at large turbines going, oh, I don't really get that. I mean, going out into this patio, and by the time I was through with the 15 signs, I would understand how significant all of this is. And then there are two beautiful spaces inside, and I did ask Nick about this. There is a space as you're going back inside and you walk in that is perfectly sized for a projection, which with today's technology would be a cinch. You could even have a giant screen TV and sit 20 people there. This would not be expensive, but you could document. And let me tell you, so many cities, so many states, and so many different organizations I'm finding out as I'm doing more research. There's all kinds of stuff that's been preserved at the museum in Denver. There are 2 or 3 other locations. In other words, to put the documentary together, then between the signs in the back and sitting in the projection area, you sort of get it. You know, you understand, whoa, this really did depend on like water rushing down from mountains and you know, all the rest of it. And you can get the whole story of, you know, the competitiveness between Edison and Tesla and alternating current and whatever the other term is. Yeah, direct. So I mean, I've even been finding now the day that they turned on all the lights in Denver, all the street lights in Denver, and the first gas, then whatever. So it's all related, but I'm telling you is that there is every piece here and the building and the location to be an extraordinary place to visit. Especially in this day and age of implementing solar panels, which we should have on the roof. You know, the whole story, the whole evolution. It's extraordinary. It's fascinating. I mean, I'm just into it. But, and then we have Kathy Haight and her husband who did this massive technical, brilliant report on everything in the museum and the history of all that. I mean, every single piece exists to make this an outstanding destination point so that people like Betsy Blakesley would actually walk in there and not say, oh, that sounds so boring. Why would I walk in?
Yeah,
So we ought to fight for our museum.
yes, absolutely.
We put a Chick-fil-A in there too.
Absolutely.
No, it's going a little too far.
It's right, I think that
She sold me.
well, it's extraordinary, and the gem board, Excel has given the gem board $10,000 a year.
I'm not sure it's
Right.
a year. I think it's every once in a while.
No, it's annually, it says, yeah,
Okay.
and because that's what allowed them to, you know, pay a few people and do those kinds of things. And they are people who have had careers in energy and they love being able to open the door and they love being able to talk to people. But there is a real future to this site that I think.
Well,
Yeah.
to lose it is criminal.
Yeah, let me add another dimension to this. There's great value from a history standpoint, and you know, it's an attraction to the town. From what I've understood, just reading Cindy's thing, up until this past year, that was an operating power plant putting out 1.6 megawatts
Yes, it was.
of sustainable energy. And with all the hoopla about, you know, wind and solar and hydro is sustainable. And to just, because they don't want to maintain it, cut it off, we'll get rid of 106 megawatts and we'll put into the grid. Well, I know as a resident of Georgetown, I would love to see that thing continue running. If the grid goes down, we got our own power plant here.
Right.
And that to me has a lot of value in of itself.
Right.
And the fact that you have an historic entity as well, just, you know, just adds to the value. So I don't buy, I can see what, you know, there was some kind of a safety or emergency safety issue. They took care of that by, you know, disconnecting the penstock. Fine. What would it take to fix the dam and fix the penstock and, you know, if it needs a pump or something, what does that cost versus getting rid of all of this?
Yeah.
That's what
I would want to see the whole story and, you know, what is really going on here? That's why the level of understanding or MOA that they proposed is bullshit.
But
It's nonsense.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, I had to raise that question in my last few meetings with them, of like, I'm having a hard time, just like you're saying, in this technology day and age where green energy is king.
Right.
And we have, you know, like, in order to replicate this, it would be ridiculous amount, and it's all the infrastructure here. We're talking about, all we're talking about is maintaining and fix some of the issues. That seems like a fraction of the cost compared to replicate this. And so my question then was, why would you not first consider replicating? And they're kind of like, it's not an option.
No.
And that was their thinking.
Because they don't want to do it.
He was very straight to the HDPLC in that last HDPLC meeting. He said it's an issue of money.
Yes.
It does not produce enough electricity for it to be worth them spending what they figure is gonna be millions of dollars to fix a dam and to buy a pump. And this is strictly a bottom line kind of game, it's not adding enough, significantly enough. And he said, we have to, we have to take care of our, financially, this is a financial decision. We have to, what he said was, we have to take care of our customers. And Lisa Laban from the county said, excuse me, I think you mean your stakeholders. This has nothing to do with your customers. But what we're trying to do here is say, stop.
Right.
This is demolition by neglect. It's exactly what it's.
Yeah, and yes, we should cite a couple of
If
people
this
that-
wasn't if this wasn't part of the National Historic Landmark District, then we wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
But
But it is.
Bob, what's interesting too that you just said that in Augusta, because that's where I came from, they were gonna propose an interstate highway straight through the middle of the historic downtown Augusta. What stopped it was that Augusta has, 1736 is when that was put in. The Historic Preservation Board was able to put measures in to stop it, and that's what stopped it. So I guess my question would be, why can't we push back hard and try to force them to maintain this?
That's what I think we should be pushing for.
All right,
That's
so
what we
here's
should
the
think.
other piece of that story. The other piece of that story is
Because I would love to see that from our side too.
Excel.
On the water side, it's like,
Excel, is that what we call them now?
Excel, yeah.
Mhm.
They are no longer public service.
Right, I just want to use the right term. Okay, Excel, so there are two options here. One is to fully realize the vision of the museum, which is critical to understanding the history of power in the West. And a really great news story for Excel is your support of that. You're confirming and making sure that we are able to not just have somebody walk in once in a while, but to really have an extraordinary representation that you're never going to be able to duplicate anywhere else. The other story that can be told is, well, Excel just folded the whole thing up. I mean, we are the only museum in the West that's telling the story of the hydroelectric power or any evolution back with a dot, and you're going to shut it down. So I'm not sure how, people in the historic preservation world within Colorado are going to feel about this, but I've got a pretty good idea. And certainly, we would want to be partnering with these other entities that have these extraordinary resources. We are basically shutting the door on telling the story, the historical story. And the other thing that I said to Cindy the other day was, this town does not fold easily. Starting with wanting to run I-70 through the middle of downtown and trying to build condominiums on all the mountainsides here. I mean, you start listing the things that this town has done to save itself and its character. And I'm telling you, we do not go down easy.
right, and I would love to hear this, because it's like, I think this is what it's gonna take for us to get connected and do something. Because right now, it's like us against Goliath.
Yeah, well, and Goliath lives in St. Paul, Minnesota. That's
okay.
where Goliath
That's okay,
lives.
but it's still a really bad story in the Denver Post about how they're going to shut this whole thing down when Georgetown has plans for expanding the story as it is being told and connecting with other entities.
Especially in
And
Colorado.
historic entities, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've got two things we can push on. We can push on sustainable energy.
Yeah.
And we can push on the, the History Museum of the West. I mean,
Right,
and I think that's where the pressure needs to go.
But we then do need to have we need to get some folks signed on to our team.
Yeah.
And I think.
I worry about
Yeah, but my sense is that this meeting is next week, but what needs to immediately happen following that is that we, have to go to our own state historic preservation officer, not the person who's 3 steps down who reviews section 106 stuff. But we have to go up to the top of that and say, yes, we're quite serious about this and we want that kind of support. We need to get into our own governor's energy office.
Yeah.
And we have people who live in this town who deal with the energy office of the government of our state. Because we have to get loud enough noise because somebody has to hear us
right.
in Minneapolis. Because really, they don't care. They don't care at all. It's an adding and subtracting thing. If that plant doesn't give them
But this is all-
We have congressmen, we have senators.
Right. And this is a-
Daniel in here though. So Daniel hears this?
Well, Daniel can't do a thing. I think Daniel will hear it, but
Who's Daniel?
Daniel is their new public relations guy for this little corner of the world. That he's simply been told that, try to play nice and try to play nice enough so these people don't give us any trouble.
Yeah.
And he does try to play nice and he's a nice person.
Yeah.
But he has no way to convince what's above him. The only way you're going to convince what's above him is to find somebody who is close to the same level from outside that can force them to do that.
We have to be able to create really fast a substantial business plan document of the vision of what this represents.
Yep, that's on you.
It's on. No, but the best thing is.
Every night they have a report on Excel.
Say that.
Excel is not very well liked.
So here's where you get better life.
They just had their public meeting where they go and ask for rate, explain why they need rate increases and stuff at 6 o'clock in the morning, 2 days, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I think everything from 9 News on up, and I do think, yes, we get a hold of Joe Negush's office and say, because we want a lot of voices knowing this problem is out there. And yeah, I do think that we go to our senators and our congressmen.
The flip side of this for Excel is what a super good news story this can do.
Because they don't have people.
What is
You need a good news
You
story.
are going to ensure that the history and evolution of energy in the West is documented for the West and for the rest of the country. And by stepping up.
Yeah, okay, so but we're okay with doing this little step?
I think that really
All right, and then-
starts focusing.
Yeah, and we will then, all right, so would somebody move that we said letter?
This,
So it's in our minutes.
yeah.
Yes, because it is an act, this is our this is our comment on a memorandum of agreement. We should have a record of the fact that this board has this.
Okay, I move that we send the record of our reply, comments to Excel.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Now, the report on the ordinance 5 and the FAR 0.4, as Bob knows, he was there. And Joan was there. They once again punted the first reading, and Tuesday night, they will be at it again. So if I will be there Tuesday night, and whoever can join. At this point, I took one of the selectmen on a walking tour. I've been trying to take another one, but he doesn't respond. Others have responded very positively. I hope somebody at least bites the bullet and said, all right, let's take a vote. Do we want to approve this for second reading or do we not? We gotta stop kicking this
Or,
football.
we still have to prove it for first reading.
What?
It's not been approved.
It hasn't gone through first reading.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do we want to approve this for first reading to send it to second reading? I mean, let's quit kicking, as a matter of fact, if they let me speak, that's what I'm gonna end up saying. We can't solve, we're not trying to solve the world, we're trying to solve an ability to handle bulk better. We can handle height, we can handle coverage, we're trying to handle bulk better. And please, either kill it or pass it on to,
So,
I won't put it that way, but it's time to not
yeah,
continue first reading forever. So I hope you will take some form of vote and just sit down. It's time to do that.
well, the feeling that I got from listening to them all mull it over, as it were, or discuss all the downsides of restricting size and stuff was that, our very purpose for being here is that we have these guidelines to keep the aspect of this town, the character and the whole presence of it historic looking. And yes, you can build new things and you can change some things, but you can't do it randomly. That's why we don't have modern architecture in this town. There's no big glass and from concrete buildings. And the materials are, all limited, and the style of architecture, and they can picture that. They can understand that. That's what, but they don't picture the impact of 4 little houses in a row and then a big mansion next to it. And they can't, their mind immediately goes to, but people want a bigger house. Well, every house that's been listed up for sale in this town lately is sold very quickly.
It
So
doesn't matter what size.
it doesn't. And a lot of the old ones and a lot of ones that were even that great or whatever have sold for quite a lot of money even. But I don't think that the size is a restriction if they want to live here and if they want. We're not telling they have to build teeny tiny houses.
No.
We're telling them it can't be out, please.
So what we've done is to propose something that is extremely identifiable and very much based on mathematics. And if in fact it does not pass, then the first big addition that goes on in the historic district de facto becomes the law. Because everybody after that says, well, Joe Smith built that huge addition in the historic district. And so, you haven't got a leg to stand on. I'm going to build the same thing. And we have no way to defend against that.
But our guidelines do have.
We have tools in play to stop that. by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I'd like to encourage the board. I hope this is our last time, because I think all of us are drained, beyond comprehension on this. Focus on, to me, the big rocks. We have been working on this for months. Both boards are full of professionals, are in unison, okay? So I think that needs to be told again. And we hired a planner to review this, and they also have made the recommendation to move forward with this. So I mean, those are significant things. Your boards are united. The professionals that are on this board, from architects to contractors, historic preservationists are all united. So I think that's really important. I hope that the walk was successful. However, if you cannot move those two,
I think they're the only two.
yeah, I agree. I think it's the only two. Everyone else I've talked to are in favor of it. I don't like the idea of separating new construction and additions.
No,
Because I think
I
it
don't
creates a
like it either.
loophole that they're gonna take advantage of in the future. They'll build this house and then later do an addition to make it bigger.
yeah,
And I don't think that's not what we designed, set up to do.
No.
So I think that's something very important. However, if they will not budge and it seems to be doomed, then my recommendation is take that part off. The rest of the ordinance is still really valuable.
Oh, yes,
You
there's
know what I'm
that
saying?
too. There's
Yeah,
that
there's
too.
a bar. Yeah, just take the FAR element off of it.
But we're having tyranny of the minority at the moment, just because the majority is not speaking up.
I know.
And so I want somebody to call a vote on this thing.
Yes, and I hope that that's what happens.
And
But I think
because,
it's
you know,
still
when
good.
you come up to me privately and say, but I'm
Oh.
really supportive. You know,
One other thing too is you mentioned it, and I think it needs to be reiterated again. Of why we're in this situation is because you're creating a land use component that has teeth from the very beginning,
Right.
where it does not have right now. All it is setbacks and, you know,
Weird.
correct. But by adding this to the planning commission process, it elevates the teeth from the very beginning of why we want to do this.
yeah,
Now, I know on the back end, even if it doesn't get approved, we still have teeth on this board to restrict.
but it's much harder.
It is harder, however, it's still it's still a tool.
However,
You know, we still have a tool that doesn't say based on new construction, it's based on historic
that's right.
contributing figures, that is teeth that you can stop the large homes. So I like that we have it, however, that the reason why we're doing it is not because of a guideline, it's because of part of the ordinance of
That's
the
right.
land use component that has the real teeth from the very beginning. So I think that needs to be reiterated.
Okay,
So
so
somebody needs to
please, if you can, on Tuesday night, give another hour or so to sitting through this. Because one of those board members said to me, he said, you know, you're all volunteers and you show up every time for this and you're all together on this.
Yeah.
And, you know, shouldn't we give volunteer boards the tools they need to do the work they need to do? And I thought, man, how would you try saying that out loud to somebody besides me?
Last meeting was when the gal, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. Somebody up on the table said, well, I mean, does the planning commission agree with this?
Yeah, see, that's a disconnect.
And this is a very serious disconnect for the people that are sitting up here.
Yeah, I know.
Because she, sitting back here, said, no, we are in total agreement, the planning board.
That was an
But
end.
it just, I'm not criticizing her, I'm appreciating her speaking up. That message did not get generated in the way it should be generated on Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, that's a big rock that needs to be hammered.
Right.
This board has spent time, that board has spent time, you guys are in 100% agreement on this.
And it started with the town's planner.
Yeah,
I mean, the town's planner brought the issue from the planning commission to DRC. And that started joint meetings, which included the town's planner all the way through this. And I think the town planner is the one that suggested the FAR. to begin
Yes,
with.
and the 0.3 FAR, but a minimum house, but everybody would be granted the minimum of 2,000 feet, which for a standard lot is 0.4.
correct.
Yeah.
So it mathematically, and because of all of the research you guys did, it made sense to say that the 0.4 can work.
But the reason we went to 0.3 initially was because we had smaller lots
That's right.
and
But the 0.4 will still work.
it'll work.
I agree. I think the 0.4 is the easier swallow, but it still says the same thing. We're all in agreement. Like what the new planner said, 96% of this covers the whole district. Well, I mean, the historic, it fits. 96% it fits.
Yeah, no, yes, I get it. You don't have to convince me.
I need to convince you, Cindy, you're not there.
She's so wishy-washy.
That's what happens. You're all in agreement.
Well, this is do or die, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we'll give it a shot. And then, of course, after the election, if you put Dwayne on the Board of Selectmen, I mean, you just changed the whole balance.
Yeah.
That's, let's table it again.
No, no, I want to make it the second reading then. Yeah. Because this is
That is good.
ridiculous. And it does need to have something. All right.
Okay, we have minutes,
Minutes.
and then also demolition by neglect. Do we need to report on anything? Excel plan. power plant. Demolition by neglect. Maybe that's something right now, so it's not
really, it's demolition by neglect.
Oh, it is demolition. by neglect.
Yeah.
Very definitely is.
Yes, definitely.
We have an ordinance against demolition by neglect. We are serving it to here, so I'm calling Channel 9.
That's.
Not a joke.
Okay, so Mike Huggins, has he come for his variance or his
Encouragement license.
approachment?
So I did work with him to help fill it out. However, he still has not paid. And there's still documents that I think didn't go, the assigned documents, that's what I've gone through. It's a site plan versus a survey. The site plan satisfies what he's looking for the survey. I've already done measurements too. So he's got the documents that he just has to sign and pay the fee, and he hasn't done that.
In process.
In process, yeah.
Okay. And then the dumpster or anything going on yet? All
And they're
right,
not going to because there's no ordinance.
Right, there's
So there's nothing to report on that,
okay, all right.
except for Sean did a lot of.
But we do have, yes, and
Thanks,
Sean's work is gonna find a home at some point.
Yeah. I think what we probably do is change the ordinance.
That ordinance.
Yeah.
I think we will end up having to change and put more.
Yes.
Amend the ordinance.
But we have to do certain things about parking too, because I understand what one of the selectmen said to me she said there are lots of conflicts. There are lots of little conflicts. I suggested that if we had staff enough to spend time on really researching our ordinances, we would find a great many of them, yes.
Yeah,
If staff only had time.
yeah.
Yeah, if we had staff,
We are gonna hire staff.
yes.
I've got somebody in mind that I'm talking to right now.
On the dumpsters,
Put them
that
in
was
the
my
room right there for the moment.
thought.
Now, what we'd like to do is take the server and put it into the evidence room. So then because that's a big room.
That's
It's a
okay.
wasted room. So we're
That's
gonna
right.
make that.
Yes, it's a temporary one, and we found all the Strahola and ladder stuff.
Okay.
All right, did anybody look at the minutes?
No, I didn't even look at it.
Okay.
We trust Susan.
Well, we know.
I'm gonna sneak something in there one of these days. Sounds good. Oh, yeah. Hey, all right.
So sending out the Excel proposal, or your meetings,
What?
under the Excel proposal. It says Ms. Neely reported that CDOT has contacted the town, were they originally the ones that contacted us?
No, CDOT didn't.
Yeah.
I reported that. Who contacted us first on asking, Excel has essentially.
Yeah.
Excel contacted Tom and Georgetown becoming a consulting or concurring party.
Yeah, that's better enough.
That's in there twice.
Yeah.
And the same true down below. I spent a lot of time with CDOT, so I don't even think about, She reported that Excel would like comments no later than March 30th.
Yeah. Okay. And that was the only thing I think I saw. Anybody have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes, from March 9th. With the changes.
Give your second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Now it's dismissed. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
No.
I just saw, I know.
Can you make sure?
Yes, they're not, very well.